Shen Buyu, the Shen family's eldest daughter, has fought me since childhood. Then came a car accident. It left her in a vegetative state. The doctor said, talking to her more might help wake her up. So I brought over a small stool and sat beside her bed. I pulled out my phone and opened a fanfiction site pairing her with me. The domineering crown prince falls for me. Chapter 10. He pinned her against the wall. His eyes brimmed with hot tears. What will it take for you to love me? Love across time. Chapter 3. He caressed her photograph. Even if I must defy the whole world, I will have you. I read with great feeling, until the heart monitor by her bed started blaring an alarm. The doctor rushed in and stared in shock at the rising line. A miracle. The patient has an incredibly strong will to live. When news came that Shen Buyu had been in a car accident, I was assembling a model kit. My best friend Yang Wang kept blowing up my phone. Fangs you, did you hear? Shen Buyu was in a car accident. I set down the model and leisurely matched each piece to the picture. So, I heard it was bad. She's in a vegetative state. My hand froze, and my lips curled up. I couldn't suppress it. Not at all. Got it. Tomorrow, I'll bring a funeral wreath to the hospital. A funeral wreath? Are you insane? Her family will tear you apart. I hung up, humming a tune. So cheerful I ate extra bowls of rice. Shen Buyu, the Shen family's eldest daughter in a city, has been my sworn enemy all my life. The grudge between us began with fighting over a gold star in kindergarten and has lasted ever since. She stole my business, so I poached her people. At her product launches, I sent people to cause trouble. At my art exhibits, she bribed the press to smear me. Everyone in a city's elite circle knew. The Fang family's eldest son and the Shen family's eldest daughter could never coexist. She was down. I'd won our long war of attrition. I was smiling even in my sleep. The next day, I still went to the hospital, not for any other reason, but to see for myself how miserable she looked. In the private hospital room, Shen Buyu lay quietly in bed. Her face was barely injured, still as beautiful as ever, but her face was lifeless. I circled her bed once and clicked my tongue twice. Shen Buyu, Shen Buyu, I never thought you'd end up like this. Just as I was enjoying her misfortune, the doctor came in with Shen Buyu's parents. The moment Mrs. Shen saw me, her eyes reddened. She rushed over and grabbed my hand. Fangs you, you're here. Please, look at Buyu. Her sudden warmth left me stunned. Because of Shen Buyu and me, our families had never associated much. The doctor explained from the side. Though she has no consciousness, her hearing may remain. Talk to her more. Tell her things that could stir her emotions. That may help wake her. Stir her emotions. A wonderful idea flashed through my mind. What a perfect chance. I had to seize it. Mrs. Shen was still wiping away tears. But when we talked to her, her vital signs don't react at all. I cleared my throat and approached the bed. Uncle, Annie, doctor, perhaps I can try. I brought over a small stool and sat neatly beside Shen Buyu's bed. Under their hopeful gazes, I took out my phone and opened a pink website. Yang Jian had recently told me to read it. It made my toes curl so hard I could have dug myself a mansion. Why should I be the only one suffering through it? I opened the section. A city headlines, the Buyu pairing fan forum. I casually opened a pin-hit story and began reading aloud. The domineering crown prince falls for me. Chapter 1. First meeting. He crashed into her arms. Like a startled deer, he lowered his head, her pale face reflected in his ink-dark pupils. The man's thin lips parted slightly, his voice low and magnetic. Woman, you've caught my attention. Beep, beep, or beep, beep, beep. The instant I finished, the heart monitor at her bedside began to sound. The flat line suddenly spiked wildly. Everyone in the room was stunned. The doctor was the first to react. He rushed to the monitor and stared at the rising line. His voice trembled. My God, a miracle. This is a miracle. The patient has an incredibly strong will to live. He turned and looked at me with awe. The Shen's opinion of me changed completely. Instead of seeing their daughter's sworn enemy, they saw the savior who could wake their daughter. Mrs. Shen gripped my hand tightly, her eyes red. Fangs you, I'm begging you. Please come and spend more time with Buyu. I looked at the wildly out-of-character story on my screen, then at the monitor's still active line. Suppressing a laugh, I nodded solemnly. Don't worry, Annie, for Shen Buyu. I'll come every day. Reading fan fiction to Shen Buyu became my daily routine. Every day, I showed up at her room on time, dutifully, rain or shine. One day, I was reading with great feeling. Love Across Time, Chapter 3. He caressed her photograph, a tear clinging to the corner of his bloodshot eye. Buyu, Even if I must defy the whole world, I will have you. Beep, 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 beep. The blood pressure monitor sounded. The doctor recorded the readings, muttering to himself. Blood pressure rising. Emotional agitation. That's good. That's a good sign. I raised a brow and switched stories. After rebirth, I became the young master's unforgettable first love. Chapter 5. He shielded her behind him and declared to the world, whoever dares touch a hair on her head, Fang's will make his whole family disappear from a city. Beep, 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 beep. Her heart rate soared again. I was starting to enjoy this too much. I discovered that whenever I read scenes of me being madly obsessed with Shen Buyu, every one of her readings shot through the roof. But whenever I read even a little angst, like her misunderstanding me and ignoring me, or even exchanged a couple of words with the second male lead, like what I had just read, she turned away and said coldly, Fang's we're over. Beep. Her heart rate instantly fell back to normal. It even showed signs of dropping lower. The doctor immediately panicked. Quick, young Master Fang, read something she likes. I had no choice but to quickly turn to the next chapter. He fell to both knees and humbly clutched the hem of her clothes. Shen Buyu, I was wrong. Don't leave me. I'll do anything you say. Beep, 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 beep. The alarm blared through the room again. Shen Buyu's parents were deeply grateful to me. Every day, they had their housekeeper bring me a different soup. Fang's you've worked so hard. Tell Annie what you'd like to eat. Fang's this fresh bird's nest is for you. Take it home and build up your strength. As I drank the expensive tonics Mrs. Shen brought me, I read to their unconscious daughter all those bizarre lines. I did feel a little guilty, but when I imagined Shen Buyu consciously hearing it all, seething inside, yet unable to do a thing to me, I couldn't contain my wild delight. That day, my mouth was dry from reading, so I prepared to take a short break. A young nurse came in to change her medication. She looked at me admiringly. Young Master Fang, you're incredible. Before you came, we tried everything for Miss Shen. Her vital signs barely changed, as steady as a straight line. But the moment you arrive, this monitor starts dancing. Our department chief said that in 30 years of practice, he's never seen anything like it. She paused, lowered her voice, and asked gossipily, Young Master Fang, you and Miss Shen, were you two especially close before? I nearly choked on my saliva. Close? Does wanting to strangle each other count? I was about to object when Mrs. Shen entered carrying a bowl of soup. She happened to hear that and smiled as she joined in. Those to have been bickering sweethearts since childhood. No, we're genuine enemies, thank you. Mrs. Shen handed me the soup and gazed fondly at Shen Buyu in bed. That child has always been so contrary. I could tell. She likes Fang's but she's too embarrassed to say it. She had to oppose him every day. Now look what happened. Now look what happened. She brought this on herself. I nearly sprayed out a mouthful of soup. Wait, what did she just say? Shen Buyu likes me. The thought made my whole body feel strange. I looked at the unresponsive girl in the hospital bed. For the first time, I felt something other than delight at her misfortune. I decided to get revenge another way. I couldn't just make her mad. I had to make her sad too. So, I went to a fanfiction site and deliberately found its most acclaimed, heartbreaking story. Cicadas Singing in Summer. The story was set when Shen Buyu and I had just started high school. That was the year our conflict truly exploded for the first time. I'd spent half a semester painstakingly preparing my technology competition project, an intelligent robot model. The day before the competition, it was smashed to pieces. The only suspect was Shen Buyu, who had been there. I was furious. I rushed over, grabbed her shoulders, and shoved her. She didn't dodge or explain herself. She only looked at me calmly and said, So what if I did? From that day on, our little squabbles officially became open warfare. Shaking my head, I opened the story. The writing was excellent. There were none of those out-of-character CEO cliches. Instead, it was filled with the tender, private longings of youth. The story was told from Shen Buyu's perspective. She saw several upperclassmen surrounding his model, handling it with malicious intent. Without a second thought, she rushed over alone. In the chaos, one of the thugs accidentally knocked over the model. It crashed onto the floor. She froze. She stared at the shattered pieces and saw his eyes instantly redden. The thugs had already fled, leaving only her and him. She wanted to explain, to say, It wasn't me, to say, I'll fix it for you. But when she saw the anger and distrust in his eyes, every word lodged in her throat. Anxiety consumed her too. Her eyes slowly welled with tears. Her youthful pride made her blurt out, So what if I did? As I read on, My voice began to shake. The details I had deliberately forgotten slowly resurfaced in my mind. That day, there had indeed seemed to be a small split at the corner of Shen Buyu's mouth. There had also been a smudge on her school uniform sleeve, but I had been blinded by rage. I saw none of it. All I remembered was her saying, "So what if I did?" I'd even forgotten that I had shoved her. The story continued. She stayed alone in the lab all night. By dawn, she had finally pieced the complicated model back together. Holding the model, she ran to his classroom, but she saw him walk out laughing with another girl, holding a new model, crude but complete. In that moment, she felt like a fool. She silently turned away and took the model she'd rebuilt all night and threw it into the trash can at the end of the hall. I don't know why, but as I kept reading, tears suddenly fell from my eyes. A tear landed on my phone screen with a soft plop. I remembered that the next day, my desk mate, the top student in our class, had stayed up all night making me a simple replacement. I'd been so touched. I never once wondered why Shen Buyu hadn't come to school that day. Could this really have been the truth? My voice caught, and I could barely continue. I looked up at the girl in the bed. Sounding tearful, I asked her like an idiot, "Shen Buyu, is it true?" The room was silent. Only the monitors beeped steadily. I gave a self-mocking laugh. I was losing it. It was only fanfiction. How could I have taken it seriously? I reached up to wipe my tears, but caught a glimmer of moisture from the corner of my eye. I froze and followed the trail upward. At the corner of Shen Buyu's tightly shut eye, a tear was sliding down her cheek and disappearing into her hair. In that instant, my mind went blank. So she really could hear me. She had been able to hear me all along. She heard every humiliating line I had read. She heard me pressing her for answers too. So, who was that tear for? For the wrong girl in that story? Or for herself? I stood frozen, unable to move. I stared hard at her face, searching for any further sign that she was conscious. But she still lay there without moving. The tear vanished so quickly, I wondered if I had imagined it. I took a deep breath and cautiously said, "Shen Buyu, if you can hear me, make that machine beep once." Holding my breath, I stared at the heart monitor. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. The line remained perfectly steady. My spirits sank. I really was losing my mind. Why was I getting worked up over someone in a vegetative state? Maybe that tear was only some physical response. I irritably ran a hand through my hair. I couldn't bear to stay there another second. I could never read those out-of-character stories aloud again. And I couldn't keep reading this story that had struck straight at my heart, either. I stood, ready to leave. But at the door, I stopped again. A crazy idea took shape in my mind. I turned back and picked up my phone again. Then I opened another story. I cleared my throat. In an all-or-nothing tone, I read the title. The Young Master's 1,000 Days of Captive Love. Synopsis: he imprisoned her in a villa, tormenting her night after night, all to win her heart. Shen Buyu, you will never escape my grasp in this lifetime. I deliberately read in a suggestive voice. Chapter 1. He looked at her, tied to the bed, and gave a wicked smile. Beep! A shrill alarm suddenly blared. The numbers on the heart monitor skyrocketed. 200. I was so startled that I nearly dropped my phone. Her reaction was more intense than ever before. 1 second before the doctors and nurses rushed in, the girl who had been lying in that bed for nearly a month, her eyelids fluttered violently. Then she opened her eyes. Her gaze locked precisely onto me. Her lips moved. Her voice was very hoarse from not speaking for so long. "Fangs you, try reading one more line. I dare you." The entire ward erupted into chaos. Everyone was overjoyed. "She's awake. Miss Shen is awake. Quick, get the head doctor. The patient has regained consciousness." Shen Buyu's parents rushed in. They held Shen Buyu, crying and laughing at once. Meanwhile, I was squeezed to the edge of the crowd, still holding up that scandalous story, The Young Master's 1,000 Days of Captive Love. It was incredibly awkward. Shen Buyu's gaze cut through the excited crowd and fixed on me. That look was perfectly clear. From experience, I knew she was saying, "Just you wait." I silently put away my phone, hunched my shoulders, and slipped away in the chaos. After reading my nemesis awake, I hid at home for 3 full days. But the rumors outside had practically turned me into a saint. Some said I'd kept vigil at her bedside for a month and wasted away from exhaustion. In reality, Mrs. Shen's nourishing soup had made me gain 5.5 pounds. Others said I spent every day whispering our sweet memories into Shen Buyu's ear, awakening her with love. Those so-called sweet memories. The overbearing crown prince fell for me, and 1,000 days of captive love In the most ridiculous version, I held her hand and cried all night. Shen Buyu was moved by my tears and called my name as soon as she woke up. She did call my name, but her tone was more like she was naming her next victim. Fang's you. You're a city's #1 romantic now. Why not just get together with Shen Buyu? I hung up immediately. Her first words after waking up had sounded like she wanted to chew my name to pieces, one word at a time. Get together with her? Did I have a death wish? On the 4th day, the Shen family's butler personally delivered an invitation. Mr. and Mrs. Shen wanted to invite me to dinner, to thank me for waking their daughter. This was clearly no ordinary dinner, but I couldn't avoid it. At the Shen residence, Mr. and Mrs. Shen kept me talking for ages. They kept serving me food and telling me to visit more often. Mrs. Shen even had the housekeeper bring over a bowl of soup, saying I'd worked hard lately. I looked at that familiar bowl of soup, too guilty to reach for it. For the past month, I'd been drinking the nourishing soup she sent, while reading hundreds of thousands of words of embarrassing fiction to her daughter. The method had worked, but it was a pretty underhanded thing to do. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, footsteps sounded from the stairs. Shen Buyu came downstairs in loungewear. Her face was still pale, but the way she looked at me never wavered. She sat across from me, without saying a word. I lowered my head and ate. Every bite in my bowl felt like it might be the last of my life. After dinner, Mrs. Shen told her to see me out. No need. I know the way. I'll see you out. She had gone from a vegetative patient back to being the Shen family's young miss. So how could I dare argue? When we reached the garden, Shen Buyu stopped. The overbearing crown prince fell from me. Love in a time out of place. The young master's 1,000 days of captive love. With every title she named, I took one step back. By the time she'd finished all 3, my back was against a tree. You wrote yourself as some domineering CEO and read it so passionately at my bedside. Did you enjoy that? Just as I thought. She hadn't forgotten a single line. That was Fang's you as written in the romantic fanfiction. And I only read what was written. Besides, the doctor told me to stimulate you. Didn't it work pretty well? You call that effective? A few days after the crash, I regained consciousness, but I couldn't move or speak. Just when I was about to despair, you showed up carrying a little stool. I could hear footsteps in the hospital room and knew when the nurses changed my medication. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't move even one finger. Only my heart rate and blood pressure could still curse you on my behalf. On the first day, I heard you read, "Woman, you've successfully caught my attention." I thought I was having a nightmare. On the second day, you read, "Even if I had to defy the whole world, I'd still have you." All I wanted was to wake up quickly and smash your phone with my own hands. When you read those tragic romance stories, saying Shen Buyu no longer wanted Fang's you, my heart rate would drop. When you read Fang's you kneeling to beg her not to leave, the machines started sounding alarms again, and the doctors praised you for finding the right stimulation. I lay there, unable even to argue back. I lowered my head and pressed my lips together, but my shoulders still shook once. So, she hadn't been awakened by love. I'd literally annoyed her awake. Go ahead and laugh. I haven't settled the score with you yet. I immediately swallowed my laugh. Then I quickly changed the subject. What about Summer Cicada song then? That model described in it. Was it real? Shen Buyu didn't answer. She only took out her phone and pulled up a photo from 10 years ago. In the photo was my robot, smashed and then put back together. It was taken in the early hours of the morning before the competition. Her hand showed in the lower right corner of the photo. 2 of her knuckles were scraped raw, with a crooked band-aid stuck over them. I remembered that band-aid. She didn't come to school the next day. I'd even cursed her in my head for having a guilty conscience. She really had fixed it. Those upperclassmen were messing with your model. I went over to stop them. In the chaos, the model was still dropped. I repaired it in the lab all night. The next day, I went to find you, but I saw you holding a new model someone had made, laughing and chatting with them. So I threw it away. The classmate who made that replacement model sat next to me. She knew I had a competition, so she stayed up all night to make a usable version. I was so busy thanking her then that I never imagined someone was outside the classroom, holding the real model and waiting for me for an hour. She said it calmly, but the robot in that photo? Every crack had been carefully repaired. Why didn't you explain? You shoved me the moment you saw me, then asked if I deliberately ruined your things. I gotten into a fight to help you, and still failed to protect your model. How was I supposed to say something like that? I couldn't say a single word. After a long while, I finally handed her phone back. That day, when I pushed you, I was wrong. I owed you this apology. For 10 years. Shen Buyu took her phone. She didn't say it was okay. She only said, remember that. You can make it up to me slowly. 10 years ago. All I remembered was her saying, so what if I did? I never saw the injury at the corner of her mouth, or asked why she hadn't come to school the next day. If I really hated you, did you think that all these years, after snatching my projects and sabotaging my press conferences, you'd have gotten away unscathed every time? I froze. I poached a partner she'd wanted, and she turned around and handed the Fang family an even bigger project. I'd deliberately stolen the media spotlight on the day of her lunch. She claimed she'd blacklist me, but in the end, she only had the 2 ugliest photos removed. I used to think I was just lucky, but looking back now, she had held back every time. Fang's you. I spent 10 years making sure you only looked at me. Do you think I did that because I had nothing better to do? Once she'd said that, she turned her face away first, but her ears slowly turned red. I looked at her, suddenly unsure whether I should apologize first, or ask if she liked me. Shen Buyu didn't wait for my answer. She walked me to the door. Just before I left, she suddenly called out, those stories pairing us together. Send me the links. Didn't you want to delete every one of them? Quit talking nonsense. Just send them. Before opening our chat, I asked her one more thing. Can I come see you again tomorrow? Shen Buyu opened the car door, then paused. Come if you want. No one's stopping you? I sent her the link to that pink website. Shen Buyu stared at the screen for 2 seconds. Her face darkened again. Don't ever read them to anyone else again. The car door shut, and she drove away without hesitation. I was left standing there, staring at those words for a long time. She hadn't said I couldn't read them. She said I couldn't read them to anyone else. Those 2 things seemed pretty different. After Shen Buyu left the hospital, a city's social circle had one more strange thing to talk about. Shen Buyu and I could actually eat at the same table, without either of us flipping the table. The first time a friend caught us, watching you froze in the doorway, drink in hand. Did you two make up? Is the world ending? Shen Buyu ignored her. She only swapped my iced drink for warm water. Your stomach is sensitive, and you're still drinking iced drinks. Didn't get enough time in the hospital? Watching you immediately leaned close to me. Fang's you. If she's threatening you, just blink. Shen Buyu looked up at her, clutching her cup. Watching you went to sit 3 meters away. I lowered my head and took a sip of warm water. I couldn't help laughing. Shen Buyu never said she liked me, nor did she push me for an answer. She simply parked downstairs whenever I worked late, and whenever I forgot to eat. She had her assistant bring me an insulated lunchbox. There was never any cilantro in it, because she knew I hated it. The first time it arrived, there was even a note inside the lid. If your stomach hurts, have half a bowl of porridge. Don't use coffee as a meal. I replied, you sure like meddling. The next day, the porridge still appeared on my desk right on time. When I occasionally brought up the model, she no longer turned cold. She only told me to keep the photo safe. That night, she came to pick me up from work again. She parked below my building, but neither of us hurried to get out. Shen Buyu stared ahead. Fang's you. What are we, exactly? I deliberately played dumb. Friends. She turned to me. Do friends pick you up from work every day? Do they remember you don't eat cilantro? Do friends memorize every piece of fanfiction you've read aloud about us? That last one was clearly just her holding a grudge, but I didn't dare say so. Shen Buyu leaned against her seat, lightly tapping the steering wheel. If you don't want this, I won't force you, but don't brush me off by calling us friends. After saying that, she let go of the steering wheel. She didn't lock the doors, and she didn't move closer. I could open the door and leave whenever I wanted. I watched her for a few seconds, then reached over and switched off the car's interior light. Then, what do you want to be? Your girlfriend. She answered quickly, though her ears turned red again. I didn't tease her anymore. I lowered my head and kissed her. The kiss was soft and ended as soon as our lips touched. Shen Buyu grabbed my collar, not letting me pull away. Fang's you. That habit of yours, provoking me and then trying to run away. Isn't it time you changed it? The next day, news that Shen Buyu and I were together spread across the city. Yang Jian sent more than a dozen question marks in a row. Luo Qingyu posted the photo she'd secretly taken from 3 meters away in the group chat. In the picture, Shen Buyu's hand rested behind my chair, and my cup of warm water sat in front of her. This time, it wasn't a rumor. The proof had been photographed. When Shen Buyu saw the photo, she didn't have it taken down. She only replied in the group chat with 2 words. That's right. I stared at that message for a long time. The group chat went silent for 2 seconds. Yang Jian flooded the chat with exclamation marks. Luo Qingyu was already asking when we'd treat everyone. After we got together, Shen Bai developed a keen interest in that fanfiction site. One night, I found her sitting in the study, with a familiar pink author dashboard open on her computer. Author account, WW. Featured work, Summer Cicadas. I stared at the screen for 3 seconds, nearly crushing the mouse in my hand. Shen Buyu, you wrote Summer Cicadas? She snapped the laptop shut. The tips of her ears visibly reddened. I just wrote it for fun. There was also an external hard drive beside the computer. I opened its directory. It was filled with drafts saved by year. First year of high school. The model. Final year of high school. Graduation photo. College. Our first business bid. Every time we fought, she went home and wrote another chapter. She spoke as though she'd rather never have anything to do with me again. Yet her writing on that hard drive never stopped for even a day. I opened the earliest draft. It had been created the day after the model was smashed. Its final line was short. She waited for an hour. Fangs, you never looked back. I looked at that line and asked her only one thing. Why didn't you tell me directly? Shen Buyu tapped the hard drive. 10 years ago, I couldn't say it. By the time I wanted to, you'd already decided I was the bad guy. All I could do was write it down. No wonder that story even knew exactly where the model had fallen. No wonder in every story, I was always written as the domineering CEO. In real life, she was the Shen family's eldest daughter. But in the stories she wrote, she cast me as the domineering CEO instead, then had herself fall into my arms again and again. I crossed my arms and leaned against the desk. Miss Shen, is it not enough that you keep one-upping me in real life? You secretly enjoy seeing me play the domineering CEO. Shen Buyu reached for the computer. Fangs, you. Shut up. I absolutely would not. I even cleared my throat on purpose. Woman, you have successfully caught my attention. She grabbed a folder from the desk and tried to hit me with it. Laughing, I dodged. Then I casually took a picture of her author dashboard. Now, I had evidence that could humiliate her, too. Only later did I learn that Shen Buyu had been writing these stories since high school. She hadn't dared tell me the truth about fixing the model, so all the words she couldn't say went into her stories. Shen Buyu looked at the hard drive, her voice growing quieter. Ever since we were children, you were annoyed whenever you saw me. I only wanted to write those moments down. I never thought that one day you would actually see them. Nor did she imagine that the secret she'd written for 10 years would end with me sitting beside her hospital bed, reading every word aloud to her. Then why do you make me the domineering CEO in every story? I never let you win in real life. Can I let you win once in my stories? Is that not allowed? 6 months later, we held our wedding in a city. As we exchanged rings, Shen Buyu's hand trembled. I held her wrist and slid the ring all the way onto her finger. The Shen family's heiress, who after the accident had endured hundreds of thousands of words of ship fanfiction without collapsing, was actually nervous now. During the wedding pranks, Luo Qingyu led the cheering crowd, insisting I read a line of fanfiction aloud on the spot. Shen Buyu sat beside me. Her expression remained cold, but her fingers secretly hooked around my sleeve. I picked up the microphone and looked at her with utter seriousness. Woman, you have successfully caught my attention. The entire room burst into laughter. Shen Buyu's ears turned red again, but she didn't let go of my hand. After we got married, her WW account kept posting new chapters. One morning, she shoved her phone into my hand. A new story was on the screen. After marriage, still in love, domineering CEO Fang Shu's daily devotion to his wife. Chapter 1. Fang Zhu set aside a 10 billion yuan contract and pushed a bowl of porridge toward Shen Buyu. Woman, you are not going to work until you finish it. When I read that, I glanced down at the untouched breakfast in her hands. Shen Buyu calmly pushed the bowl toward me. Do as it says. I picked up the bowl and resignedly scooped up a spoonful. I seriously suspect she was so desperate to wake up back then, not just because I'd angered her. She may even have feared I would turn the domineering CEO in her stories.